this weekend in the Premier League. We had a big game for relegation battle between Man United and Tottenham. Tottenham ended up winning that game 1-0, leaving me unsurprised and continuing to be disappointed. I mean, what can you say as a Man United fan? This week we got the news of massive injuries to our team. Kobe Mainu, Ahmad, blanking on the third, but it don't even matter, man. We're screwed. We got no players. Our first team is cooked. Amorim is having to bring up like 8 academy players to fill the bench. It is just, this is the worst possible scenario for Man United. It can only get worse if we get relegated, which I legitimately see as being a threat in the coming weeks. And it's not even to say their performance against Spurs was as horrible as other performances, but the amount of missed opportunities. For example, with Garnacho, I love Garnacho. I think he's a great player, but this game he needed to finish his dinner and he just could not do it. He needed to pass to oh god, I gotta look up his name. He needed to pass to Patrick Dorgu on the left, and he didn't do that until like the very end of the game, like for the overlaps. So that was very triggering to watch. And God, Højlund, Xerxes still are mega expensive signing strikers who just can't score. Xerxes had a good attempt with the header, but just barely could hit it towards the goal. And it's depressing to think about this team, man. It really is. So, Dre, I don't know if you have any similar thoughts. I imagine you do.
I guess, well, one, it's hilarious to hear the defeat in your voice, but I guess if I'd say your one saving grace is that the 3 teams that came up from the championship are so bad that you actually like should not in any case go down. Like the fact that those teams are that much worse,
I'm knocking on wood, bro. I'm knocking on wood.
Are terrible too. But if you guys finish below 16th, then there's some serious issues. I mean, it's already serious issues, but like those 4 teams at the bottom are so bad that you have no business even being in that conversation. But yeah, honestly, this is a little relegation scrap, and Spurs have gone through, they still are, but like have been injured this season terribly. And the fact that you guys are now going through a crazy period, obviously you guys had sent out Rashford and Anthony, like, and your squad.
Anthony's becoming the world's best player as we speak.
Crazy, but not completely wrong. And like the fact that Spurs are now going 1 point ahead of you, and they've been this injured the entire season, really speaks to like the quality of Man U. Because this, like, that's actually like really embarrassing. But honestly, I could argue that this is best case scenario. I think. Well, best case scenario is crazy, but it's not worst case scenario, because I think giving these academy players this chance is actually better off than these players who clearly don't fit Amorim's system. I think honestly, if you can bring through some players, maybe they're still young, they're moldable, maybe get them into the system and find roles for them. Not saying they're going to be world beaters and you're going to climb the table, but maybe there's some players that end up standing out. You're like, okay, maybe over the summer, you don't need to go spend 50 million on someone for this position. Like, you have someone who can do a job there and things like that. Hopefully, I think that's at this point the most you can take away from this season. But yeah, in terms of like finishing, like your place you're going to finish in, I think we all knocked it out of that park, but they're not finishing in the top half.
They are not. They are not, most definitely. I do agree. I think this season at this point I have to view as a learning opportunity for the youth. And really, I really sincerely hope that they're able to compete for these positions. Dallo, I'm talking to you. It's just like some of these players who start these games every week, they have their ups and downs, but it's the fact that they have no competition and that they have to be the player that starts. which scares me. Especially with, I mean, there was a period where Garnacho was starting and he was just doing nothing. And he is much better as a sub that comes on. I hate to say it, but like a super sub, or like if someone's injured, I don't know. But having him start every game, I think, worsened his performance. And I could see that very well being the case for other players. I think balancing the team of, already people have been playing as much as they have with these academy kids who are getting their first games in the Prem. It might be a hard watch for a bit, but I hope they can adapt quickly. And especially I hope they can fit Amorim's system, because I feel bad for this dude, forced to leave his team to join Man U. No money to buy players. We only got one player. Like, it's a tough scenario.
Yeah, he is in the perfect situation to be scapegoated. Like, they are very ready to scapegoat this guy who really is stuck between. Obviously, at the end of the day, he did choose to make the step up, but like, you would hope any manager with any aspirations would make this step up. But like, in the circumstances within it happened,
yeah,
it's actually kind of crazy. Like the way they set this guy up. And
I will say the fan base has been good from what I've seen, in that they're not going after him, because I legitimately don't think this is a manager issue. I see what he's going for, and I see the potential with it, and I like it. And if it means I have to suffer for a bit because our players are cheeks, so be it. If that means we're going to get better players who fit this system, who care about, winning for this team. I mean, even Dallo, I got my issues with him, but he said the other week, like, with this manager, I feel like we can win the Prem in a few years. Player coming out and saying that just a couple months into his tenure, for me, that's a good sign. So there are little positives, but I don't want to get ahead of myself.
Yeah, fair. And I think too, like, you have to be realistic to a certain extent that the team has technically, on paper, gotten worse since he came in. But he told you from the jump, we're going to suffer. And
he's been honest. He's been honest the whole time.
And
he's not sugarcoating.
And it's tough because I think people are now wanting him to do what Ten Hag did, which is, okay, my system's not working. I'm going to go back to this system, like the standard system, and in 2 years get sacked because you're not getting results. That's not what they brought you in for. They brought you in for the specific system that you play. And if you give up now, then you're just basically signing your own sack notice and for like next season. So I think he has to stick it out, whether or not, like, he's gonna, if they somehow sack him at the end of the season, that is actually gross negligence. Like, you have to actually have to like have some kind of riot on your hand. Not trying to incite a riot, for legal reasons, but like, you have to have something on your hands to like make some kind of change, because that would be diabolical to sack this guy this season, with the injuries, with the transfer window, with the system, everything that's gone on, even in this game too. I don't
think he'll be sacked though.
There's no way. There's no way.
Because even the fact that they're letting Rashford go to another Prem team, to me, shows that the board, the ownership, they're fully behind this dude, and I'm happy to see that. They're behind him, maybe emotionally. Monetarily, they need to get behind him a little more.
Which is
let
the crazy part.
Sign some players for the system. I can't believe we only got Dorgu
It's
as
criminal.
a starter.
It's criminal, because I think even this game is funny, because this is like we said, the relegation scrap between two teams that were going in for Matthias Tell. This is the Tell Derby, and Man U weren't willing to pay the $5 million to get him, and Spurs were. And look at the difference.
He was cooking. And he was cooking.
He obviously didn't score, but like, dude was getting chances. He looked energetic.
So many legs.
Like, that's exactly what Man U's attack needs. And just like, if you're not willing to spend $5 million on a loan fee for this guy, that shows like you can't expect to be any better than you are. So
yeah, I want to backtrack a bit and give a little bit of credit to Xerxes this game. He had a tough start at Man U. We all know that, being booed out after one of his first few games. And as a striker, I still want to see more from him. but his ball control and ability to retain that and move it up is so much better than Højlund's. At least in this game, it was very clear. He had some good dribbles, some good moves where he was able to keep it and keep the ball moving upward. And from this team and the state of this team, I just got to say I appreciate that.
Which is funny because, like, him and Højlund had the exact opposite issues, and both of them, like, they really need that other side to the game because Højlund's super athletic, but the dude has no touch, bro. This dude has
no touch.
And Xerxes has like a beautiful touch, but the dude's playing like he's playing in the Match for Hope. Like, this is crazy. The dude has no athleticism. Like, it's actually crazy. And there's a certain level of athleticism that you need to play in the Premier League. Like, there's some players who like are so gifted technically that they can maybe get away with it, but like he's not on that level. So there's only so much you can really do with these two. And I think someone like Tell, obviously, or like someone, hopefully they have someone there in mind for the summer to bring in, could really make a difference. Because right now it's not looking good, Brev.
I'm telling you, we get Gyökeres in here, and that's it. That because I see him as a top striker, but also as someone who's good enough to where between Højlund and Xerxes, they're really going to have to duke it out. Because right now, they don't have competition for where they're playing, really.
True. Yeah. And I guess they're going to have to duke it out for being the backup. And one of them's going to go. Because, yeah, Gyökeres comes in, is lights out. For those guys, it's actually lights out.
Yeah.
So, yeah. It's tough. Even someone like Arsenal, I don't know if you saw their most recent game. I caught like highlights, but they have their center mid, Mikel Merino, coming in and playing striker, but then all like their injury issues, and he's scoring a brace. Like, it's crazy, bro. Like,
I'm not mad at that. We did that with Manu, 2 weeks ago or something, and it worked pretty decently for one game. The next game, but I'm not opposed to messing with the system like that and having that flexibility in there. I see that as a positive, especially if players like are executing their chances.
Yeah, 100%. Like, I respect that tactical flexibility from Arteta. Like, that's actually crazy that he's able to maneuver his team and pull that off. And to the end of the day, that only works because you have the personnel. And
yeah,
I don't know if I don't know if Man U. Maybe now that Manu's injured, like, I don't know, what do you do? Like Casemiro?
Casemiro gets a yellow every like third touch. It's just, yeah,
it's not looking good, bro. I don't know if you want to share in the misery, Eric. I mean, not misery for me, obviously. I'm loving it, but misery that Alexi has here.
That's wild. I'm not gonna lie, man. I mean, I know y'all are currently talking about like the state of the team, but when I did tune in to part of the match, and to be honest, man, I actually thought I thought they were gonna pull it out, man. There was that early shot by, what is it, Dalot?
Delo, yeah.
Delo? What did he say?
Delo. Just Delo.
By the fan base, man.
Portuguese.
Coming back to it, man. So I do apologize, but there was that, like, what? It was like a goal line save, right? And I don't know. Like Alexi said, they did have lots of opportunities to score. So I really was.
They did, and they had a fire for. I will give them credit. 2/3 of the match where I thought they'd at least tie it up, but it came down to not executing on those early chances, and that Delo one. I mean, that he should have had a better shot there, I thought. In that situation, it is a narrow angle, but if you put just a bit of power behind it and smash it, that might come off the keeper's hands and go in at that angle. And I would rely on that rather than just kicking it straight to him. But anyways.
Sure. Yeah. As far as state of the team, man, I think I've made it clear, like, when a team that I support is not doing well, I just don't really tune into them. So that's just been the nature for Man United over the past few years. So I've just been out of the loop. But as someone who was kind of coming in,
Call that a bandwagon.
Nah, it's more like I'm saving my time, man. I ain't trying.
Fair enough,
Why
honestly.
stay for the misery?
Because here's the way I think of it and how I cope. I'm like, look, we're doing bad now, but think of the feeling of immense happiness if we get relegated, we get back into the Prem, we win the Prem. And I was there for that the whole journey. That feeling would be crazy. So
that's a lot.
That's how I cope.
That is a huge banking, man. And I'm sure they will. I mean, it's Man United, like I'm sure that there will be a day where they step out of this little phase that they're in right now, and I'm sure they'll come out on top. But just as far as like really tuning in to how the season's going, if that makes me a bandwagon, so be it. It's just, I don't know, it's just doesn't entice me to watch a match if I feel like there's no significance to the outcome. And I don't know, it's also more so to just like preserve my like peace, because I've given my Knicks the same treatment, my New York Yankees. It's happened. Every team I support has experienced it. Just so happens that right now the Knicks are on a very solid run. But as far as Man United, man, I can't say I've been as loyal.
Yeah, I mean, I would say just because it is my primary team and sport that I follow, the way I tune into these games now, these Prem games at least, is with the idea of seeing, the improvement in the players, the change and the slight change in tactics, how things adjust, and finding the good things in that, and being able to, I guess, witness that progress and hopefully see it grow and continue.
Absolutely.
Yeah, fair. And we'll see how that goes for the rest of the season. Honestly, rest of the season, like we said, more of a see what we can learn from these youth players and who really is going to be here in the next season, and see how it goes over the summer, really. And hope you guys have a big summer, because if not, oh boy. But I think even just having a preseason just to work on some stuff could be massive. So
the preseason will be massive, but no, we need signings.
Yeah.
Like, bruh, we need a third owner to get in here or something. Like,
oh my god, yeah,
should have went with that Sheik Jassim dude, bruh. I don't know why we went with this broke ass Jim Ratcliffe, man. Came in being like, we'll get more loans. I don't know, like, he's like, I got 10% of the money. So
crazy.
Dumb, bro. So dumb.
Yeah.
You got a dude who's got to pay all cash, but you're like, nah, we'll take the 10%. Crazy.
It's crazy because like everyone likes to say like oil money, Man City, but like at the end of the day, they got the championships. Like, they don't care. Bro.
Well, all right, that is the thing I will say. As a fan, I would love that Sheik dude to come in here and give us that money. As a fan of the sport and the integrity of the sport, if we're at the point, this is kind of a shift in topic, if we're at the point where what Man City has done is okay, once that verdict comes out and we learn about those charges, if they determine that's fine, then I'd be it. If that's how the sport's gonna go, it's sad, but get that Sheik up in here. If the charges stand, they get relegated, they get punished, whatever, and the league says, no, we will not tolerate the club, just shooting up in value in this artificial way. I think that's better for the sport. I think that's better for all the teams. and it puts more accountability on how the teams conduct themselves and the errors they make. And that's what Man U's experiencing right now. And it would be a cop-out for someone to just come in here with all that money and make it all go away. And it would contribute to the larger issue of sports washing, which a lot of those oil money countries, the reason they're doing this. So I think I hope we see less of this. As a fan, I want to see investment, but I want to see it come from the right people with the right resources. I don't want it to be a dude who's going to buy a 20% stake and have sports ownership only and not even have all the money necessary to run things and need to lay people off at the club and get rid of facilities or whatever, like what's going on at Man U right now. So, yeah.
Yeah. Cooked. No, I love it.
I love this game.
I love this game.